We're sitting here on a historic day, the day after Election Day, and Donald Trump won the presidency pretty decisively. So, talk to us. What is your reaction after seeing his win last night?
Well, there's several early conclusions, which are very important conclusions that explain Trump's victory. The first one is that when it was all said and done, Trump had more momentum than Harris had going into the race. And what I mean by that is that Trump, by and large, was able to pull his coalition forward and get it out to come and vote. Last time around, he won about 75 million votes, and this time around, he's at about 72 million and counting. So he didn't really lose a lot of votes from his coalition. However, Harris was not able to preserve Biden's winning coalition from 2020. Biden won over 80 million votes in 2020, and where the count stands right now, Harris has had less than 13 million less votes than Biden had last time around. She's at around 67 million votes. So what that means is that several key voter groups didn't show up and vote for the Democrats. And it's less of a slam dunk victory for Trump, although that's what it translates to, and much more of a loss for the Democrats and Harris's inability to get that voting coalition from 2020 to come out. So if I'm the Democrats, the first conclusion that I have is that we lost voters and Republicans were able to preserve their voting coalition. And that's why we are where we are. And that's why Trump also has won the national vote, not just many of these key battleground states.
I guess the biggest question is what happened because Democrats lost, like you said, that 13 million votes. Also, Republicans saw gains in traditionally Democratic demographics. So, what exactly happened here?
Well, yes. I mean, I'm speaking in terms of net numbers. Trump outperformed himself in many rural areas and districts compared to last time around. So the districts that were already leaning for Trump leaned for Trump even more heavily this time around. And I would say that there's basically several sort of shifts which are important. The first shift at a very high level is that in modern American politics, you cannot win the White House unless you win a series of key states in the Sun Belt and in the Rust Belt. These states are Arizona, Nevada, Georgia, North Carolina, and then in the Rust Belt, Pennsylvania, Michigan, and Wisconsin. Biden won 6 out of 7 of these states. Today, Trump seems to be sweeping all 7 of those states and winning them over Harris. So at the highest level possible, the turnout just wasn't there for Vice President Harris within these key battleground states, and that's why the election was able to be called so early. But there's also key voter groups that didn't turn up for her and or have left the coalition, the Democratic coalition that Biden had. The first one, and this is really a surprise group, is voters under 30. Harris won voters under 30 by only 8 percentage points to Trump. Biden won this group by over 21 percentage points. So young voters, and especially young men, either they went for Trump or they didn't show up to vote for Harris. And in general, the gender gap was quite staggering, depending on which exit poll you look at. And there's 2 exit polls that are conducted in the United States by different media consortiums. Trump won men by 10 and Harris won women by 10 on the low end. But really the one that's most interesting is one that says Harris won women by 8 points. And that was a decline from Biden's women by 15 points last time around, whereas Trump actually won men by 13 points in 2024, and that was an increase from last time around in 2020 when he won men by about 8 points. So it also seems like in the battle of the genders, men came out to vote for Trump, at least in one of the exit polls, more convincingly. And that mattered, especially when it comes to younger men votes. And then the last group, which I'll call out, or the two last groups, which I'll call out, is Hispanic voters. Trump performed very well with Hispanics in the mid 40s, and the count is still growing. So when it's all said and done, he might actually have overperformed George Bush's 45% with Hispanics from 2004, which is widely credited to pushing him through to re-election in 2004. Trump might actually get higher than 45% on the Hispanic vote. And certainly Hispanic men or Latino men broke for Trump this time around. So they were plus 12 for Trump this time around, whereas last time around they were plus 23 for Biden. That is a huge swing. That is a 35-point swing from the Democratic coalition to the Republican coalition that, cannot be ignored and has to be noted. And then finally, the last group is that you can't have these type of results if independents are with you. And I think that a lot of the rhetoric that was used at the beginning of the campaign around Trump being a fascist, and also at the end of the campaign about him being a danger, the people that support him being trash or garbage, and so on and so forth, really turned away a lot of these independent voters, a lot of these voters that are on the fence, that ultimately either they went for Trump, like they did in states like Georgia, where Trump led with independents by double digits, 11 points, or they just didn't show up. And that plays into that 13 million voter gap that the Harris campaign is contending with. And it's why, she lost both at the national level and in this key battleground states.
I'm still stuck on what you said about the 35-point swing. I mean, that is just humongous. That cannot be ignored.